Hey everybody, it's Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com coming to you with our Monday edition of Today in Sports Betting, checking out the NFL. And Scott, we got a surprise game today. We had the Packers Falcons. That was going to be our regular Monday night game, but we got a little early game between the Chiefs and the Patriots, as that was postponed due to COVID concerns. Quarterback on each team tested positive for the virus, but perhaps a little bit of difference as far as the importance to the team as far as that particular quarterback goes, as the Chiefs had a quarterback on the practice squad test positive, and the Patriots had their starting quarterback, Cam Newton, test positive. So we've traded a pawn for a queen, Scott, and it's a good trade. I think the Chiefs will make that every time, as Brian Hoyer gets the nod for the Patriots. This game is the Chiefs is a 10.5-point favorite. That is down slightly from 11 all day yesterday, and the total is now 48.5, and that has dropped as well.
Well, just to ask before we actually break down the game, I know that the spread was opening up at roughly 7 earlier in the week. Do you think Cam Newton's worth 3.5 points, more or less?
Yes.
Wait, I said more or less, and you just said yes. Do you think that's
more? I thought you were saying you were using it as a qualifier, like more or less.
No, what I was wondering is if right now Newton's basically been factored in as a 3.5 point line move because he's not playing, everything else is the same. Do you think that's too much? Do you think that's too little? Do you think that's accurate? Because I think that might be too little if you really want to break down Brian Hoyer in comparison.
Yeah, I agree with that, and it's a completely different team with Brian Hoyer and with Cam Newton. Brian Hoyer's lost 12 straight starts, hasn't won a start since 2016. Not good, not good at all. Last time that he played the Chiefs, they just absolutely owned him. Of course, he was not with New England then, but
what was he with San Francisco back then?
It was I believe it was the playoff game. That's the last time we saw him was with the playoff game. Yeah, he was with the San Francisco when they had him. So, yeah, this is
I got to lean to Kansas City if I'm really going to break it down, because the Patriots have a great ground game that they rely on, and that's usually their method. And Newton, of course, is the face of that, because in the red zone, even though he didn't do it much last week, the red zone rushing attack is so lethal because Newton has the ability to just turn into a battering ram and get any amount of yards he wants in short yard situations. Now you don't have that option. Sony Michel's not going to play in this game either. So you're going to be looking at Damian Harris and Rex Burkhead and James White. I'm not saying that Sony Michel's been a good running back in the pros. He had 100-plus yards last week. I know he had one specific breakaway carry, which went for a big chunk of his yards. But you lose a 100-yard rusher from last week, and your starting quarterback, who is one of the best rushing quarterbacks in the league, and you replace him with a journeyman quarterback who hasn't started a game in a couple years, and you're against the best offense in the league and a team that looks like the best team in all of football in Arrowhead, I got to go with Kansas City. I know that I like Belichick and I like what he can do. This is just one of those spots where you just look at it and go, this is not going to be pretty.
I'm going to tell you, I hate what Belichick does with his injury list, and it's one of the hazards of putting out a video the day before game day, as I released this video last night.
Well, that's why I'm basing it on what's already been announced. So I know for a fact that Newton's not going to play and Michel's already been announced out. So I'm not going to gamble on the injury report right now. Those two injuries are official.
Well, that's the thing. Last night when I did this, Michel was still questionable, and Belichick uses questionable for everybody. So I just wrote Sony Michel in as going.
It said earlier this morning that he's out with a quad injury.
Yeah, no, I got him. He's officially out. But yeah. So I mean, that's I'm just bitching about
I don't blame you, because he's been doing that for years, and every player on the entire team listed as questionable.
Right.
Why New England games are usually better to wait until you find out the official injury reports. Luckily, they gave it out early Monday. And it turned out that their starting running back and the starting quarterback, who everyone knew wasn't going to play. We're going to talk about that with Green Bay and how they have a cluster injury. You're going to lose your starting running back and your starting quarterback, and you're traveling to Arrowhead to face the best offense in the league. Yeah. That is such an awful spot.
Yeah, and see where this Chiefs defense can be exploited is the run defense.
Well, don't you think they're going to stack the box and dare Hoyer to beat them?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm sure they will, but they're still.
I know that there's still some openings to be found, but it just
having Sony Michel being able to run the football, that I really thought that they would be able to control the clock and limit the Chiefs' possessions. I liked New England in that spot with Michel.
Well, and Newton, yeah, I agree.
Well, no, not even. I liked the Chiefs against Newton. It's a weird thing.
Okay.
I liked the Chiefs against Newton. I thought they would have a good game plan for him. They did a good job with Lamar Jackson. I thought they'd be able to stop him. But just a sheer running team, that's where the Chiefs have struggled. They gave up 7.5 yards a carry last week. So I was and again, I talked about it on my video. I'm not in the habit of fading Belichick and double-digit points. It's just.
I agree. I just think that this spot is so terrible for New England.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a recipe for success. The other one is Edelman's questionable. I'm sure he'll go
but my question that I want to ask you is that I know New England's defense has been great in previous years. They've been pretty good this year. Not as good, which makes sense because half the defense opted out from last year. But my question for you is, how many points do you think New England's actually going to score in this game? Like 17?
Yeah, I think they're going to struggle to get to 2021.
So that's what I'm saying. Do you think Kansas City still gets to around 28? Because I do.
Yeah, I think they're going to be somewhere in the 27, 28 range, 24 to 28, I would say.
I see this game finishing around 28-17. So for me, I'm going to lean to Kansas City by a hook. I know 10.5's a lot. It makes sense that this number has climbed up this much. And just Kansas City and Arrowhead facing one of their biggest, I'd say, current rivals or rivals of the last couple of years.
Right.
And now New England's completely just shorthanded. I'm going to go with Kansas City. I just think that they're the better overall team by a wide margin now.
Well, I took the Patriots on my play of the day at 10.5. Which is weird that this line hasn't changed with the announcement of no Sony Michel.
It's mostly a fading of Brian Hoyer for me. It's just the drop-off between Newton and Hoyer in that rushing offense. You go from an extreme dual-threat quarterback to a relative stiff who's been a veteran who hasn't started in the league in a couple of years. That's just such a downgrade. I just can't overlook it for me. I can't.
Yeah. No, I agree. And being a Chiefs fan, I'm always, looking for the worst thing to happen. So we have seen these journeyman quarterback carve up the Chiefs defense before, but they're relatively healthy. They are banged up in the secondary still. They're without Rashard Breeland.
Yeah, but the issue with that is that New England doesn't have exactly many game breaker receivers, which is also another issue. Right,
and they're missing their leading interceptor in L'Jarius Sneed, rookie that's been playing really well at the cornerback spot.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably also lean to the under in this one as well.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think New England's not going to be able to contribute much. I think they're going to be somewhere in this 14 to 17 range.
Yeah, I think instead of taking the actual full game under, I thought about giving this out as play today. I thought about giving out New England team total under 19 or 19.5.
Got it at 19.5 now.
I think they'll finish at 17 for me.
Okay. All right. Very good. It should be an interesting game to watch just to see what they're able to do without a couple of key pieces there.
Yep.
So yeah, tune in. That's a 6:05 start, by the way. The 6:05 Central, 7:05 Eastern, 8:15 Eastern time. Sees the regular Monday night game. It's been bumped back an hour as the Atlanta Falcons travel to the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field.
Do you agree with the scheduling? Because I'm confused why they're going to be starting the second game in the middle of the second half of the first game. Does that make any sense to you?
They should be starting it right about halftime, I would think.
Does that make sense? Because I don't get that either.
What do you want to do?
I don't know if you're going to have two games. I figured you'd move the New England one to, 6. Something like that. You try to get the New England game over right before the Packers game starts. You're going to have people fighting for views on both football games.
And you got to make sure people can get off work to get to the game.
To get to the game or to watch the game?
To get to the game.
I mean, I guess you have limited fans anyway, but sure.
Well, I mean that's certainly part of it. You know, they know they're going to do better in TV ratings at 6 o'clock than they are at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
There's no question about that.
Maybe it's just me. I just find the idea of having two games overlapping in primetime football isn't a great idea because what they do for the week 1 Monday nights is that they usually set it up so that the first game ends and the second game starts immediately.
I understand. That's scheduled well in advance. This time it's not really fair to the people in Green Bay to ask them to push this game back to 9 or 10 o'clock.
I'm just asking for the Chiefs fans that are going to be going because the Chiefs have limited attendance, correct?
Yeah, should have about 17,000.
Yeah, they already moved the games back a day and change. So fans who were able to go to that one might not be able to go to the Monday one anyway. I don't know how that's
it's been a big deal here. People that have been unable to stay over for the Monday game. And
that's what I'm saying. So because of that, you should have less fans anyway. So I think that's a separate issue because they're not going to buy separate tickets for Monday. It's just going to be whoever has tickets for Sunday is going to carry over.
Correct.
So I don't know. That's just my 2 cents, but it's not a big deal. I know that it might not matter because Kansas City might be up a decent amount in the fourth quarter. I'm just saying that if push comes to shove, I don't know who's going to be watching the first half of Atlanta Green Bay when the Chiefs game's still going on, unless the Chiefs game's a blowout or unless you have money on the Falcons and Packers game.
Agreed. I'll have one on one TV and one on the other, of course, but I know that's not necessarily an option for everybody out there that isn't in the sports business as we are. I thought Collinsworth had one of the best lines of the year last night. We saw Tony Romo's finally going to do Monday Night Football.
Nice.
Were you watching it? Did you see that?
No, I actually did not hear about that. You said Collinsworth had a line. I thought you were about to say, well, here's a guy. But here's a guy who's going to be doing Monday Night Football. I did watch a bit of that game, though. I can't say I would listen much to the commentators. I was kind of switching off between the NBA. Looking forward to seeing multiple games, and they'll transition us, I guess, to the second game.
Yeah, it's the Atlanta Falcons at the Green Bay Packers. Packers -6. 56 is your total. Scott, I understand that you're going to suit up and play wide receiver for the Packers. Is that pretty much what we've come down to at this point?
It appears that way. Hopefully they don't make me block too much because that was never my strong suit. But we'll see what happens. I know that Green Bay didn't exactly hope to go into the game with Devontae Adams and Lazard both out. While to make matters worse, Julio and Calvin Ridley are both playing. So in all the questionable injuries, all 3 of them went in favor of Atlanta. They got their start 2 receivers back. Green Bay's missing Devontae Adams. Not really a great spot, but the issue that you have is Atlanta just so bad that it doesn't matter.
We're going to find out. This is going to be a true test. And, the Devontae Adams thing is kind of a weird deal. He put a tweet out earlier today that said he's ready to go, but he is being held out basically against his will. And that tweet was quickly deleted. But there may be some controversy there.
I'm okay with it because if you want to actually look at the rest of the division, sure, Chicago lost yesterday, so it's not like Green Bay is in dire need for a win. Right now, it's their division to lose because Minnesota's not good. I know they won their first game of the season. Congratulations. Detroit still stinks, so that doesn't change anything. You got them versus the Bears, and based on that quarterback situation, I think the Packers should win the division. I think we all agree that. So I think Green Bay looked at it and said, do we want to potentially force Adams back that could potentially lead to a re-aggravation, or just decide, save him, make sure he's healthy for next week, and we'll do whatever we can to win the division? I think that definitely plays a factor, and I don't think they're wrong.
Well, it would have been nice if they'd have mentioned it before this morning.
I know. I'm just saying for the sake of that, I think you'll agree that Green Bay doesn't exactly need to win this game, if you know what I mean.
I do understand. How bad is this Atlanta defense? That's really the question in this game, Scott, because Green Bay is literally down to 3 receivers on their depth chart. They are down to of course, Valdez-Scantling. They're down to Darius Shepard and Malik Taylor, and that is it.
They could have drafted a wide receiver, but, they decided to go with another running back and a fullback. So, go nuts.
Good times. And, of course, they are, going to be missing Mercedes Lewis as well. He's their third tight end. And that normally wouldn't be a factor unless you've only got 3 healthy wide receivers, and then you might want to play a third tight end occasionally.
Yeah, are
So,
you just expecting a bunch of dump-off passes to Aaron Jones?
yes. A lot of runs to Aaron Jones, a lot of dump-off passes, a lot of possession passes to the receivers.
I know people are used to massive stat lines by Rodgers, and the secondary for Atlanta has been terrible. I get all that. I got to assume in 40-degree weather in Green Bay with no receivers and a decent amount of wind, roughly 15 miles an hour, give or take, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when Atlanta's used to playing in a dome, the wind definitely plays a factor as soon as you travel outside.
Yes.
I got to assume Green Bay is going to do a lot of short passes in this game. Maybe 1 or 2 shots to Scantling, maybe. But for the most part, I think you'll agree it's going to be handoffs and play actions pretty much the entire night.
Yeah, you certainly would think so. They are going to be the Falcons are going to be without two of their 3 safeties are going to be without Cannon Neal and Ricardo Allen. So
and we're also going to be without defensive end Tarek McKinley. So
yeah, Tack McKinley won't be going in this one, which is a huge part of their pass rush. So
yeah, Atlanta's defense is atrocious, and it's not going to get much better until some of these people get healthy. But you're looking
at for fun, they're also without their place kicker.
Yeah, and I'm a fan of Koo, but he was not great last week. Got injured. I forgot. Did they actually announce who took his job?
Yeah, they brought in Elliott Fry, the kid that was cut by Tampa Bay, and when they brought in.
Didn't he used to be on Cleveland also, Elliott Fry?
I don't know. I know he's been around a lot.
I'm pretty sure he was on.
He was with the Bears. He had a drink of water with the Bears, a cup of coffee with the Bears. I'm trying to see if I got.
I don't know. I randomly thought he was on the Browns at some point. Then again, most kickers who are free agents were on the Browns at some point.
Yeah, good point.
But no, it's his first season. So
what is that? So if you're down your place kicker, if you don't have your regular place kicker, what does that mean to a team, Scott? How does that affect the scenario for the game? What happens?
The truth is that I have no idea, because with so much wind, they might have been less likely to kick field goals in the first place anyway. I think that plays a factor. At the end of the day, if it's still 4th and 10 from the 35, you're still going to attempt the 52-yarder. That's not like that's going to change. The situation's still there. The issue is how reliable the actual kicker is. And there is a chance that if Fry misses 1 or 2 early, they're just going to ignore field goals and go for it on 4th downs or punt it, because if they miss the kick, then the Packers are just going to get great field position. That's not exactly what you want to do to Aaron Rodgers, is give him great field position. So I think that might play a factor after the first quarter, depending on if Fry makes his first couple or misses his first couple of kicks. I think that'll play a factor. For the grand scheme of things, I don't think it really matters until you actually see Fry in action.
I think it makes the offense more. I think it makes the offense more aggressive. If you've got a situation that you're anywhere from the say the 35 out, and you've got the 4th and 5 or less, I think you go for it instead of kicking that field goal.
I think that they would kick the field goal the first time, and if he makes it, then they'll do it. If he misses, then they'll go for it in the future. But I think they'll usually give the kicker 1 try or so, just to say, all right, this guy doesn't suck. Do you agree with that? I think it depends on the range of the kicker as well. And I think Fry, he's fine. I think wind's going to play a huge factor anyway. I don't think it's about the kicker. I think it's about the wind. Yeah,
wind is the number one factor that you want to look at when you're talking about betting totals in football.
Especially in Lambeau, which has never been a phenomenal kicking surface. It's not Heinz Field, which is atrocious, but for kickers. But Lambeau in the wind, 40-degree weather, it's not exactly optimal kicking conditions anyway. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree. I'm probably going to hate myself for doing this with the terrible Atlanta defense. I've got to play the under here.
I'm going to lean to the under in this game as well. For the sake of a side, I'm going to take Atlanta first half. The reason why I like Atlanta first half at 3.5 is very simple. This team is awful in the second half because they blow huge leads. But in the first half of games, they're actually pretty good. If NFL games were 30 minutes instead of 60 minutes, the Falcons would be not bad. But it's mostly because Green Bay's missing so many weapons. I think they'll have to make some adjustments offensively with the absence of Adams and Lazard and all these guys. And Atlanta, even though their defense isn't very good, you still got Julio back, still got Ridley back. I think Green Bay's offense will struggle a little bit, and they'll eat up a lot of clock, at least more than what they're accustomed to. And even though Green Bay's defense, which I think is underrated but mediocre, I think that Atlanta should do enough offensively in order to trail by less than 4 points and during the half. So for me, I'll go with the first half.
I don't hate that. And here's the problem with the Green Bay offense. If Atlanta is unable to run the ball, which they haven't been able to run the ball all season, they have to turn to the pass. Green Bay is going to be forced to get out of their game and go chase the Falcons, and I think that's a distinct possibility.
Well, the one thing I also wonder is about the fact that you have a dome team playing outdoors in 4-degree weather, which is usually not a recipe for immediate offensive success, plus the wind. So I think that even though Atlanta has Julio back, who I don't even know if he's at 100% or not, same thing with Ridley. Just because they're playing doesn't mean that they're going to be fully there.
Correct.
Also another factor. But it's the one thing I notice about dome teams, mostly as, watching the Cowboy games and stuff, Dak Prescott's a bad case of this as well. You take a lot of these quarterbacks from domes, you throw them outside, like a Derek Carr, there's awful outside.
Right.
And I'm kind of curious in 4-degree weather if Matt Ryan is going to, look like extremely old Matt Ryan instead of prime Matt Ryan, which I think is more likely anyway because I don't think he's the quarterback he used to be. I do also acknowledge that J.R. Alexander is a very good corner, and I know he's going to get matched up on Julio, but I don't want to say he can neutralize Julio, but I think Jair Alexander is really good. I'm just going to throw it out there. It's not like Green Bay has no good corners, if you know what I mean. No. I think the secondary is not bad.
No, I agree. Of course, Jair Alexander is he's banged up. He's questionable for tonight's game. I'm assuming he's going to play with Zadarius Smith, one of the Smith brothers, of course, but. Assuming all those guys play, yeah, that's a good.
Well, Jair is questionable, but just to be clear, he was a full participant in practice on Thursday and Friday, so he's going to play. In my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree.
But for me though, I'm going to lean to the under. I'm going to lean to the first half Falcons because I think this game will be close. I think this game's going to end up 27-24. I'll give the Packers the win because Atlanta blows every big game, every close game they have, and I think Rodgers will make enough big throws down the stretch. Okay. But for me, I think this game will be close. I think both offenses will struggle in the weather. But at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers. And LaFleur has looked really good as the head coach of Green Bay. Even with last year, he wasn't a good second-half coach. He's made some really good second-half adjustments this year, and I really think that he's evolving as a coach, which I do appreciate. And at the same point, Dan Quinn should have been fired about 2 years ago. So I'm going to go with Green Bay, but I'll lean to Falcons plus the points.
Okay, very good. I'm going to go ahead and officially play the under on that one. Should be a fun night of Monday Night Football, Scott.
Yep, looking forward to it.
A couple of interesting games, a couple of serious offenses going at it there against each other. So we'll see what happens, and we'd love to know what you guys are playing. Let us know in the comments section what you're on for either one of these games. You got an angle figured out? Put it in there. Let us know. Maybe we'll throw that on our own ticket as well. And, of course, if you're looking for an extremely deep dive into this game and every other game, check out winnersandwhiners.com. They do an especially good job with the Monday and Thursday night games. You will find no deeper dive anywhere at any cost. So make sure you check that out as well. And, we'll be back again to do it tomorrow. So we appreciate you guys watching today. Good luck on all your plays. Hope every single ticket in your pocket cashes. And we will see you back at the window. And we'll be looking for you next time on Today in Sports Betting. Take care, everybody.